So 2023. Yeah, it's March of 2024, but I'm just getting to where I can actually make a video telling you what all I did in 2023 and if I hit those goals that I made. Now, I was also late last year, so getting this out by March instead of April, I'll count that as a win for this year. But what about last year? Did I actually make my goals? Well, to be honest, I didn't even remember what they were. 2023, going into it, I knew that basically my entire focus was going to have to be on the lawsuit. And it was. But because of that, I completely forgot about what their goals were. So I actually had to go back and watch last year's video, which I'll post up above if you'd like to go watch that, of what those goals were. But they essentially boiled down to two things. But the first was catch up on all of the past due bills. So did I do that? Yes and no. Actually, both simultaneously. So I was able to put away basically $1 per hour worked or $1 per delivery made because I was doing a lot of DoorDash at the time. And I made what I called the debt list, which was a legal pad that I carried with me of all of the missed payments I'd had from months previous. And I'd put $1 or $2 or $5 toward them every day. And eventually a lot of them got scratched off the list. A lot of them actually did get paid. And I was making a lot of progress toward that until about September or October. And that was when everything just went completely off the rails. Suddenly, my TaskRabbit tasks dried up completely. There were also a lot of changes to DoorDash last year, which cut the pay and cut the volume of orders. So when TaskRabbit died out, DoorDash and Instacart really weren't there to make up the difference. Things got really, really tight toward the end of the year. So not only did I have to stop making those extra payments, but I actually started getting farther behind to the point where now I'm much farther behind on missed payments than I was a year ago. So the answer to that is, yes, I made a lot of progress in getting those paid off, but then basically the lack of income when it kind of died off in the fall, and now having made it almost completely through the winter, that's put me back in the same situation, but worse, where those payments have all basically come back and now there's more that I have to make. I wish that I had better news on that. Now, with that said, when I made that goal, I was not expecting my roommate to try to stab me, and I was not expecting to get kicked out of my apartment and become homeless. So there were a lot of things that I couldn't have foreseen when I made that goal that for sure impacted whether I'd be able to achieve that goal. Now, the second goal that I had for 2023 was to move. I was in a situation where my roommate was not only being abusive, like in general, but was using me for money. But I felt stuck because we had a gentleman's agreement, and I had promised that I'd only move out at a certain time of year so as not to screw him over. But that doesn't change the fact that he was screwing me over. Being pushy about payment, making a profit on the rent, just making up the utility bills, charging 10 times or more what they actually were. So a huge part of the reason I was struggling so much last year was because I was indebted to this commitment that I'd made on my word to stay a certain period of time in that living situation. And then also not being able to afford to just go to a different living situation. So that was the reason for wanting to move, was so that I could be more in control of my finances and didn't have somebody leeching off of me. But did I achieve that goal? Well, yeah, technically I did achieve the goal of moving. because although I didn't state it, in the back of my mind, the goal of moving was to move to Columbus. And by moving to Columbus, I would be closer to my work, where I could schedule more work in a day, and it would be a lot less expensive for my car because I'm not commuting 2 hours each way every day, like a 4-hour commute every day. So of course that's gonna be cheaper, and it's gonna get me more time that I can use to actually schedule work. So that was the plan, and that did happen. Not for any good reason, but for those of you who have been around for a little while, you know that in May of last year, my roommate tried to kill me, and he got arrested. And after that incident, the police told me it wasn't safe for me to be there, and I just took that as the opportunity to leave. Now, that does mean that I've been homeless since then. After all of the misfortune that I'd had the last couple of years before that, and then with him taking financial advantage of me, I didn't have money to get into a place. I didn't have credit because I'd been missing all these bills because I was giving him every penny I made. So there wasn't a way for me to get housing, but I did just go. It released me from the obligation, and I just went to Columbus, and I stayed in Columbus until it got cold. So yeah, I guess I did accomplish that. Not at all in the way that I would have wanted to accomplish it, but it was accomplished. And I've actually moved a second time, because at the end of November, I moved to North Carolina, and I'm about to move again to go back to Ohio here in a month or two. So as far as the 2023 goals, I didn't do very well. It's not pretty at all. But when I made them, I knew I was going to be so incredibly busy with the lawsuit, but I had no idea that I was going to be homeless. I had no idea I was going to be attacked. So, you know, the fact that somehow in all of that, I still got moved, and I'll take it as a positive that I did get ahead on the bills, even if they ended up further behind. At least there's some positive there. And the only thing that I can hope is that in 2024, that things will be a little bit more calm, and any progress that I made will actually stick. So I will have that video out for you soon. I'll make the 2024 financial goals as well. And let's just hope that things start looking up.